Don't forget to tap the subscribe button. Click on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our contents. According to a document obtained from Weld Country District Court, Chris Watts and his attorneys suspects the government's claim of tainting witnesses that have not yet been interviewed and impacting future jurors. Christopher Lee Watts, 33, is accused of murdering his 15 weeks pregnant wife Shanann Watts, 34, and their daughters, Bella 4, and Celeste, 3, in their Fredrick, Colorado home in August. On a notice filed to the courts on October 4, Chris Watts responds to the government's motion to seal the autopsy reports for this case. Christopher Watts, through his attorneys, hereby informs this honorable court of the following. 1. Counsel for Mr. Watts is now in receipt of the 3 autopsy reports in this case. 2. The government, through its motion, states it is concerned about tainting witnesses that have not yet been interviewed and impacting future jurors. 3. With respect to the first justification about tainting witnesses, Mr. Watts must again inform the court that he doesn't have enough information to take a reasoned position. Counsel for Mr. Watts notes that the government is working with multiple law enforcement agencies, to include numerous agents from the CBI and the FBI. 4. That said, the government has made no further proffer with respect to which witnesses it intends to interview, that have not been interviewed nor how what those witnesses have to say could be impacted by the contents of the autopsies. Counsel moves for a hearing on this issue to determine whether the government's position in motion has any merit. 5. With respect to the second justification about impacting potential jurors, it appears the government is claiming to be concerned with Mr. Watts' constitutional rights. Counsel first parenthetically notes the apparent incongruity of that position with the government's indignant objection to investigating prejudicial media leaks. 6. That said, Mr. Watts' rights to a fundamentally fair proceeding and, ultimately, a fair and impartial jury at trial, have been so substantially damaged in this case, it does not seem that any prophylactic order, at least on the narrow issue of whether the autopsies should be released, can serve to salvage the wreckage of those rights which may remain. 7. More to the point though, the contents of the autopsy reports will necessarily be revealed at the preliminary and proof-evident hearing, which will take place well in advance of any jury trial in this case. 8. Ultimately then, because counsel can see no reasonable way in which the contents of the reports will not be explored in court by the parties, Mr. Watts leaves the decision about releasing the reports to the discretion of the court. However, if the court finds the government's first proffered reason of not tainting witnesses to be compelling, Mr. Watts requests a hearing on that suspect claim. Wherefore, Mr. Watts informs the court that he leaves the decision about sealing the autopsies in the discretion of the court. Thanks for watching. Check the description below to watch other videos dedicated to this case, and don't forget to tap the subscribe button below.